Hi everyone, I'm back with another video. I think this is going to be unpopular and it's kind of calling out what the older generation tends to do to the younger pagan generation, and I'm basically calling this a defense for young pagans because I've seen a lot of bullshit, to be quite honest, lately, and it's always around younger people, especially younger women who are just now coming into some form of paganism. And I'll get to some form of paganism a little bit down the road here in this video. I don't know how long this is going to be. This might be ranty, this might be rambly. Let's just get started. So, most of us started in the same kind of fluffy, uneducated, white lighter sort of place. Most of us we're almost all self-taught. Especially if you're solitary, you're eclectic, you live in a place where you just can't get to everything, to books and to all of that. Knowledge takes time to acquire too. Like, you don't get into paganism and then all of a sudden know everything. It takes time to know, about your own spiritual path. It's a constant, lifelong journey. It's not a destination. Access to reliable information is not something that everyone has. Not everyone has, unlimited access to the internet. Some people only have certain times a day when they can get on. They don't have unlimited access to books. They don't have funding for unlimited books. Self-directed learning, and this again we're almost all self-taught at this point, is difficult. It's hard to discern fact from fiction, especially when you're first starting out, because look at some of the authors, some of the really crap authors that we have. Go into the pagan New Age section of any bookstore and look at some of the crap that is just all over the place. Silver Ravenwolf is a perfect example of so many young pagans start with her books, and they're pretty bad. Teen Witch, especially, is a bad book. But that's going to be a whole nother video, I think, in itself. So, but if that's the only book that you can afford or you can get your hands on, that's your starting point. And we can't really blame these younger witches for that because it's what they have available. There's a lot of misinformation in these books. I just said Silver Ravenwolf is probably the pinnacle of bad information. But we have to realize that's our starting point. That's where a lot of people started. And this is a big one, most pagan books are Eurocentric, written by white people. And even if you do have a book about Egypt or, Egyptian religion, it's probably not written by somebody who knows the religion, has any kind of degree in Egyptology, probably doesn't speak or can read ancient Egyptian. So the white Eurocentricness of these books is also a problem when you're learning, because you have a very limited view if you only read those books. Paganism isn't a religion. I cannot stress this enough. Paganism is a category of religions. You are a pagan the same way a Baptist is a Christian, a Wiccan is a pagan the same way a Baptist is a Christian. It's an umbrella term. It's a category for, whatever your religion is, it can fall under paganism. So there's no one way to go about being a pagan. Like, there's no one way to go about being a Christian, because you have Catholicism and Baptists and Protestants and all of those denominations under that one category of Christianity. It's to say you are not a pagan or you are a bad pagan when somebody is talking about their path, their personal path. And I've used this before, it's elitist. It is elitist as hell. And we need to just take a step back and realize that we're not all the same in paganism. And we might not have names for our individual paths. Like, I use Roman because I follow the Roman deities. But my religion isn't really a Roman religion. It's a personal reconstruction of what I've learned through my studies of the ancient Roman religion. It's individual for everybody, and not everyone follows Wiccan principles, which is what a lot of modern paganism does follow. A lot of modern pagans do follow steps and spells and, documentation, doctrine that started with Wicca. And that's fine. That's not my particular path, but it's fine. But when you look at something like casting a circle, which I hardly do, I do in a very different way, it's every book you read that tells you how to cast a circle all does it in a very Wiccan way. But that doesn't mean it's the only way. And it shouldn't be the only way. And if you see somebody do it different, they're not wrong. Or if they talk about a different way to do it, they're not wrong. It's different. We really need to stop thinking that our way is the only way. Because that's very dogmatic. And it's very detrimental to, paganism as a community. We aren't one religion. We are not a religion. I can't stress that enough. It absolutely drives me insane when people say the pagan religion. Well, which one? Really? Which fucking religion are you talking about when you say the pagan religion? Because we are not a religion. I'm just so tired of seeing older pagans telling younger pagans that they're stupid and they're wrong because they do not follow the same path. Take a step down, fucking relax, and realize that we are a religious category and not a religion with dogma and a code of conduct and a list of commandments, because that's Christianity. And if you want dogma and you want one way is right, fucking go back to Christianity. Because we can't keep pushing young people away because we don't like what they're doing. And now I'm starting to get heated. And I wasn't intending for this to be as angry as it is, but I'm just tired of it. We push people away, and I'm saying we like, the royal we or the imperial we, as in the 30 plus group of us pagans, we are pushing young people away when we should be helping to educate them and leading them in directions. You can't come at somebody and say, you have to do it this way, it's this way, it's this way, it's this all the time, because you shut them down, especially with younger people. Because they're like, well, I'm going to do what I want. And they're going to get that little teenage attitude that you have until you're 25. Because we've all been there. Some of us just need to remember what it was like to be a rebellious teenager, I think. But there's a way to say, that book you're reading is full of misinformation. Here, try this one. Or, wow, let me explain to you why this book has misinformation in it. A good example is Scott Cunningham. Scott Cunningham was a pretty good author. He died in like 1994. His information is pretty outdated. We've learned a lot about history since 1994. And Scott Cunningham is obviously going to be one of the best starting points because his bibliography is amazing. You pick up a Scott Cunningham book and you look at that bibliography and you're like, I want to read all these books. And he uses a lot of history books too, which is super important. But for a young person who maybe that's the first book, maybe The Truth About Witchcraft Today is the first book that they read, or Guide for Solitaire Practitioner is the first book they read, and they're so excited because they found something that resonates with them. To automatically shut them down is rude and counterproductive to growing a community. And I'm starting to get rambly, but I don't really care because I'm pissed off. A good thing to do is like, oh, you like Scott Cunningham's book? Well, here's this book by this author who has a different interpretation of the same information, so you can read them and compare and contrast. Or, even if someone starts with Silver Ravenwolf, say, oh, well, her information is inaccurate, and there's a lot of problems with what she writes, but if you like that writing style, that really easy to read how-to guide, here's another book that might be better for you, that's a little more accurate. But to just yell at them and to try to tell them that they're 100% wrong and they're bad pagans and they're bad people, basically, and to go after them in such a way that feels hostile, especially if you're much older. Again, the 30 plus people. I'm talking specifically because let's be honest, nobody wants, a 45-year-old person to yell at them and say you're doing this wrong and get aggressive toward them. Nobody wants that. So just again, I don't like to tone police, but sometimes I need to throw this out there. Chill. Just fucking chill out. And open a dialogue with people instead of just telling them that they're wrong. Like, there's a way to correct somebody's mistake without making them feel like a piece of shit. And now for some advice. This is, if you are, a teenager, if you are under 25, if you are, new, you could be, in your 30s, 40s, and still be new to paganism. I'm going to put the links down below, too, for these two sites. JSTOR.org and sacredtext.com are two of the best sites for historical information about religion. Sacred Text has just about any book you could think of. If you read a book that you really like, and you see like really old looking books with like publication dates from like the 40s and 50s or earlier, chances are it's on sacred texts. On sacred texts. JSTOR is more academic, and a lot of colleges recommend students use that for their papers because it's all free. I don't know why my voice wavered, but it's all free. And you can sign up for free, and you can read any article on the site, any book on the site. They have books now, I just checked today. And look at your local college. And if you're already in college, awesome. Take as many history and religion courses as your major allows. If you can take all of your electives, if history courses fall under your electives, take them because it'll be worth it to learn about the history and the culture of the religion's origin. Like, if you are looking at Bast, she's Egyptian. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. She's Egyptian in origin, so take an ancient Egyptian class. Take a 300, 400 level Egyptian class, and you'll be surprised in the amount of knowledge you gain from something as simple as a history course. I actually have two of my books that I'm rereading. It's The Ancient World, Readings in Social and Cultural History, and fallen. The Ancient World, A Social and Cultural History. I think these were a 200 level class, and it goes pretty deep into ancient cultures, and these are great books. Again, history course. Take classes. You don't have to enroll. Well, no, you do have to enroll. You can audit classes. What that means is you go and you take the class, but you don't get a grade and it doesn't go toward a degree. A lot of older students will do that. My college offered, I think it was 64 plus, adults who were 64 and older could audit classes for free. I think you can do it as well. If you enroll, and then you can just audit the class. You don't get a grade. Check university websites as well. You would be surprised at what you can find as far as a lot of history teachers will put their classes or their slideshows online for their class and their lectures online and their lecture notes, just to make it easier for their students to find it. But if you read it, you'd be surprised at professors that will email you back if you say, hey, I found your lesson on Greek and Roman mythology. I have a question. If you're polite about it, they'll probably answer you back. Another great resource is the author Joseph Campbell. He did The Power of Myth. He wrote that, and he wrote a bunch of other books about mythology. And that is such a great starting point because it breaks down mythological archetypes into easier to understand characterizations. So you might have, the Christ figure and all the other religions that have the same sort of mythology in it, and it's really good for cross-referencing and a starting place. So just don't be discouraged. If you're a young person and you're getting into paganism, don't be discouraged by us old fuddy-duddies. We get angry and we get set in our ways, and you do you, basically, is what I'm saying. Gain a lot of knowledge, read a lot of books, talk to your deities. If you have deities, you don't have to have deities. And just keep, it's always learning. It's about always learning, and I don't want young people to walk away from what could be a really fantastic community because certain people don't want you there. And you're going to find that everywhere you go. And don't ever give up something that brings you joy because of other people. And that just turned into a really odd, after school PSA there. Sorry about that. So, yeah, I hope I wasn't too angry and too ranty, but I saw a few videos this morning and it kind of pissed me off. So, I had to get my feels out, I guess. So, I hope everyone has a great day. I will see you later. Bye bye.